So you're recording vocals at home and you're spending too much time working in the DAW, doing menial tasks that don't help you and your creativity, and you want to spend more time being creative and actually performing the song than fumbling around in your DAW. I want to show you a quick, easy to adopt workflow that I've been using probably for the last 8 to 10 years that has helped me become super efficient in recording vocals for my clients. I'm going to show that to you right now. Let's jump into it. What is up, my friend? Jacob here with another video to help you become a better recording artist. Today, I want to show you my workflow that I've adopted from other engineers and modified to my own needs over the last decade, probably. It's a workflow that has helped me be more efficient for my clients and ultimately deliver the best result in the shortest amount of time and keep the session creative instead of having my clients wait around for me while I fumble around in my DAW. And I want you to do the same so you could keep recording and stop fumbling around in your Logic Pro, in your Pro Tools, in your Studio One, in your Cubase, whatever it is. Let's jump into the template. Let me show you how it all works. I'm going to show you the workflow of how I get started with the template, break down some of the plugins that are on it, and then I'm also going to demonstrate how I would operate a recording session within this template. So first, when I open the session up, this is in Pro Tools. Now, the theoretical applications of the template and the workflow itself will be pretty universal to any DAW. It's just that the routing might be a little bit different depending how the DAWs work, but the workflow itself is going to be the same. So let's jump into this. We have, from the top down, we have the track, which is when I get an artist come in, they bring me an instrumental typically. If not, they bring me the stems. I'll import the stuff, either pop it in here or just import the stems and bring them down about 10 dB so that they're not super loud in the headphone mix. Then I have a reverb track, a delay track, an all vocals bus, which I'll get into in a second. And then I have the recording track, very important. Recording track is where I'm going to be doing all of my recording with my client, and then all the playbacks happen on these tracks right below it. I have things that are already kind of preset: verse lead, verse double, pre-chorus lead, pre-chorus left, pre-chorus right, pre-chorus harmony, which has some reverbs and delays on it that I'll show you in a second. There's the hook lead, hook doubles, hook harmony, left right, hook harmony, left right, and a couple ad-lib tracks with some sauce kind of already on there. When you look at the routing, you'll see that the track or the stems, in whatever case, as well as the effects tracks and the recording track, all of these output to my monitors or to my headphones. If I'm recording in the same room with the artist, I'm going to have my monitors muted. I'll have headphones on. These tracks all output left and right monitor. And then everything below it, you'll notice all of these vocal tracks that are in the template are routed into this all vocals bus here. And the reason I do this is because I want the recording track to have the same processing as the all vocals track so that there's not a big difference in volume or sound quality or processing, whatever, between the artist recording it behind the mic and the artist listening back to it in the headphones. I want it to sound the same so it's not like a big jump and, it throws them off during the recording session. So I make sure that I have the same plugins on the record track and on the all vocals track. Now you could argue, why not just put the same plugins on all of these tracks? Sure, but I don't see the need in doing that because then I would have literally a chain of 5-6 plugins on each individual track, and that might bog down my system. And I don't want to deal with a slow system when I'm trying to be efficient in my recording. So instead, I take all the individual playback tracks and I route them to a bus or an auxiliary track with the same processing as the record track. So the routing again looks a bit like this. On the left, we have the track, we have the effects here, the bus for the playback, the recording track, which you'll notice is on playlist number 1 in Pro Tools. We call it a playlist. I'm not sure what it would be called in other DAWs, but it's essentially layers of vocal takes that live within the same track. It would look something like this. Not to get too sidetracked, but let's say we had a bunch of playlists. I'm using a shortcut to create a new one. So let's say I record a little bit here. We don't like it. We want to try it again. I'll make a new playlist. We'll record again in the same spot. And then I can open the playlist view, which in other DAWs might be called something else. And we're going to see all the takes underneath, which I could then compile into like a master take at the end. So I start my recording session on playlist 1 because it's going to be the first take. So why not start on playlist 01? And then this playlist track, just the normal rec track with no number, that's going to be my master comp track. Hope I didn't lose you there. And then all these tracks afterwards have some processing and they go back into the all vocal bus, which will have the same processing as the record track again. Let's go through some of the plugins. So on the instrumental playback track here, I have an auto key, which is an Antares plugin that helps me sometimes find the key to the songs if I can't find them myself. And it'll give me a quick BPM reading, as well as right underneath it, I have a track spacer plugin, which is a great plugin for using a sidechain input, in this case a vocal, and using that vocal to then sidechain compress down on the instrumental to try and kind of make space in the instrumental. I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit once I get some vocal tracks in here. Then on my reverb track, super simple. I have a Valhalla vintage verb. I have on the delay track a quarter note delay, H delay with a little bit of filters. Then on the all vocals bus and the record track, I have both Pro Q3s, which I will modify throughout the recording session, likely within the first few minutes when I get the tone of the vocal. I'll modify this and make sure that it's copied over to both tracks so that they have the same processing. Right after that, I have a CLA 76, which again might change depending on the vocalist, but I have this one there because it's great. It's a good solid compressor to give you kind of energy and grit. It gives me a nice kind of headphone mix sound right off the bat. And then right after it, I have the SSL channel strip with a little bit of EQ already on there by default that I will again modify with that certain vocalist. You'll notice down here on the all vocals bus, I have a vocal sidechain send. So whatever vocals are playing back from these playback tracks are going through this all vocal bus, and it's sending out of this sidechain output into the track spacer. So all the playback vocals are kind of going to be ducking some frequencies on the instrumental track to make space for those vocals. Just makes for kind of a cleaner, rough mix at the end of the session. And last but not least, on all of these vocal tracks, I have an Auto-Tune Pro, just to get a quick tuning dialed in at the beginning of the session so the client feels good, comfortable, depending on the style. Sometimes the auto-tune is really high, sometimes it's very low, just depending on what kind of vibe we're going for. But I like having it there. Right at the beginning of the session, I import the instrumental, I put it on my track here, I check the key, and I send it to all the auto-tune. Let me show you a little bit what that workflow could look like when getting the session started. So we have the template open. It's, let's say we create a new session called test record. I'm going to put this on my hard drive here somewhere. Test record. Yes, let's save the changes to this template that I was modifying. Now I use import session data to get my template. So shift option import. And then I go here to Jacob personal recording template. I grab that. I just select all of the tracks and I import them. And there we go. We got the vocal template in the session. So now I need to go find my instrumental. So let's say in this case, I go grab the instrumental of this track, which is by Gael, a client of mine here, produced by my good friend Luca, the producer. Let's go import this instrumental track. Let's put it in the clip list and just drag it into the instrumental track. Now, just by playing this back, turn up a bit. If I open auto key, it's going to listen. And it's going to propose a key and a BPM. 160. And the key is so C sharp minor sounds like the key. I'm going to go and send that to all of the auto tunes in the session. And then 160 BPM, or we could probably go 80, just so that the grid is not so crazy. And I'm just going to take a quick look here to make sure that everything lines up on the grid. So it sounds like it's in 3/4 probably. So just at the beginning, I'm going to go and add, maybe it's in 6, could be in 6. And definitely it's at 160. The way we count it feels more natural. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, and then let's go to the drop here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cool. So that's all settled. We have the key sent to all of our auto tunes here. So it should be in C sharp minor. Here we go. We have quite a bit of tune on. And the way that I would go about this is I would put this track in record. I'm going to mute this because you're going to totally hear me probably. I mean, why the hell not? I could just demonstrate. I'm not very much of a singer, but why not do it this way? Let me mute my speakers and put some headphones on. There we go. quite a bit of latency, so let me bring this down. Nice. So you can hear there's a bit of tune on, there's a bit of reverb. The first step in this kind of process that I would start is just running the track for the artist, letting them get a feel for the headphone mix, letting them get a feel for the track. You know, they can let me know if they want more effects, less effects, whatever. So I just run it through. And then let's say they've run through it a couple times, they're feeling comfortable. I actually had to change the angle of this because my phone was dying and I had to plug it in with the USB thing, which is all the way over here, so I had to move things over. But we're back. So let's say you run through the track a couple times with the artist so they get a feel for it. And then when it's time to record, I start them from the top. And there's a first verse, right? Make sure I'm recording. I'm not a singer, of course, so bear with me. But let's say they record a couple parts that sound good. Oh, hey, this sounded good. I'm going to select it. I'm going to hit copy. I'm going to go down to the next track, which with Pro Tools, you use the semicolon and the P to navigate up and down. So I select what I liked. I copy it. I move down. I paste it. And then let's say I like this section here. Paste that here. Hey, let's listen back to it. I make a new playlist. I hit record. And now the artist is listening back to what we did. I'm not a singer, of course, so but I'm always recording because they might decide to punch in that next line, right? You never know when the artist is going to punch in the next line while I'm recording. So if you're recording yourself, of course, you know what's going on. And for the most part, if you're watching this video, you're probably recording yourself. But let's say I'm recording myself and I've recorded that first line and I got to punch in that second line. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to hit record. I like that. Okay, cool. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to do a little crossfade very quickly. And then I'm going to keep recording. Make a new playlist so I don't lose anything. Oh, I like that. That was really good. But I only like this part. I don't like the beginning part. So I'm going to highlight just that. I'm going to copy. I'm going to bring it down here. And now I just need to punch this in, right? So let me go back a bar or two. Hit record again. Make a new playlist so I don't lose anything. And then punch in this next line. Okay, cool. I got what I needed here. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm just going to grab this. I'm going to copy, bring it down, paste, do a crossfade, continue recording. Right? It's as simple as that. You're basically making a puzzle using the recording track as your main record track, of course, as it's so named. And then you build all of your main takes down here, all your comps. You're going to build them on these tracks. So let's say I want to do a harmony now. Let's say I've got that verse down. And I feel like recording a harmony. Cool, no problem. Let's record on top of it. Make a new playlist so you don't lose anything. I don't know how to do harmonies. Let's say that last harmony. Cool, right? Let's grab that. I already got some tracks in this template that have some processing great for harmonies, hence pre-chorus harm. So it's got some delays, it's got things. Let's listen to it now on that track. Let's make a new playlist so we don't lose anything. I might need to adjust the volumes. Perfect. Great. And that's kind of how I go through this with a client. And in this case, you would go through it for yourself, is you're just recording, using the recording track, and you're kind of building the track using the record track as your main recording, of course, and then you're just copying and moving down the pieces that you like. And when you get to the end of the song, it's going to look like something that has a bunch of tracks like this. Maybe I could find an example here. Let me show you. And now I'm in here, right? And you might get to the end of your session, and it's going to look something like this, right? You got some vocals here. You got a lead vocal track that's all built out. You got a couple harmonies, couple little effects going on. That's how you would go through your recording process using this template to build out your song. So that is it for today's video. You've got a sneak peek of me singing, which was awful, I know, but you also got a sneak peek of my recording template that I use pretty much on a day-to-day basis when recording with all the plugins that I use, all the effects that I'm using, the workflow itself, how to use your record track, create new playlists so you never lose any of those old recordings. Maybe a few takes ago, you're like, oh, I did this thing, I just remembered, let me go see if I still have it. You want to make sure you still have it. So always be making new playlists before you record. And now you know also how to build out your session using that record track to kind of build your puzzle, which will end up being the final vocals for the track. If you don't feel like building out this template for yourself, I'm giving it away absolutely free. You can go pick it up, use it for yourself. I've made it for Pro Tools. I've even included my own personal version of this template, as you saw with the plugins that I use. I also included versions of the template with the stock plugins in case you don't have the ones that I'm using personally. I've also included versions of this template in Ableton Live 11, Logic Pro 10, PreSonus Studio 1, and Cubase. Again, I'm giving it away. You could have it. It's absolutely free. Go to www.mixwithjacob.com/recording template. Until next time, peace.